Hey everyone, Patrick here with Denal Racing and Performance. This video is going to be a follow-up video to one I previously posted titled What is a Split Circuit? In that video, I debuted my new product here called the Mod Adapter. I want to clarify a few things about that video. First off, I'm not here to mislead or misguide anybody, and I'm not here to intentionally give you false information. One of the things with my videos is I try to film them all in one shot. Sometimes when I do talk, the words that I'm narrating in my head don't always come out in my mouth. My brain is constantly thinking and moving a million miles an hour about a whole bunch of other different things. So it does happen from time to time, and I don't catch it. And I don't bother providing any more clarity about that. So I do apologize if that was confusing, misleading, misguiding. It was definitely not intentional. The other thing I want to clarify too about my product. My original goal or my original intention with my product was based around running an external a dump valve system. I'm doing that because I'm running a turbo car. I want to be able to control um, the leave on my car to get adequate 60-foot times, control the power as best I can. And to do that, you're doing that with an external dump valve. Um, Nowadays, the external dump valves are being utilized to help spool the car and also for the leave. External dump valves were never meant solely to be utilized for controlling boost, but they are, and that's what it is. What led me to create this product was not just one thing. Um, a lot of professional trans builders can utilize this mod adapter that I invented to do other things other than splitting the circuit. And that's what that is. This is designed solely right now for me to split the circuit. And again, like I said, there are other uses, but I'm not going to get into that. My biggest concern is I didn't want to modify the pump. Yes, I can do it, but a lot of people cannot. It is an expensive service. You are permanently modifying the pump. Um, in some cases, you have to. Okay. Here, I don't want to. If anything were to happen to the pump, if it gets damaged, then I have to then have that redone. Buy a new pump and have the same thing done by the trans builder. And that's what you have to kind of stick to. Um, you got to stick with your trans builder. Whether it's yourself, obviously, different story. But if you're having somebody do it, you want to make sure that everything is designed to work the way the trans builder has built it. So it's very critical to follow that. Um, Going back to my mod adapter, I didn't want to modify the pump. But what I need to do, I need to solve a problem. And that problem is keeping fluid to my main line or my main center circuit here. And that's done through this top port, the return side of your cooler circuit. The bottom port is the exhaust right here, the exhaust from the converter. Okay, so how this typically is done, we're taking the line pressure here and we're bringing it to this loop circuit here. Okay, so we are bypassing that part of the cooler circuit, the return side of the cooler circuit. Well, from the bottom port, the converter exhaust with a external dump setup here, what we're doing is we're taking that fluid in a T, typically in a T, and we're going to the external transcooler, and we're going back down to the governor cover area where the external dump valves are typically housed. If you have a drag and drive car, if you have a car that you bring to the track, let's say you trailer it to the track, you make the pass, but you're driving it back to the pits, then you need an external transcooler without a doubt. Okay, so there's obviously a couple variations that you have to understand with this. Um, the one benefit, obviously, to this, right, to my mod adapter, is you can install this with the transmission not even being out of the car. You can literally do it on a lift or on jack stands, whatever the case may be. All you're doing is taking a Dash X hose and you're going from my machine Dash 6 fitting here to the top port, the return side of the transmission here. So that's providing lube, line to lube, lubricating the center line of your transmission. Your gear train, your bushings, your seals, everything critical in this transmission. So that is my overall intent of this, my product, my mod adapter. There are a few things you have to consider and keep in mind. Again, you do have to run an external transcooler, and also when you're running back to the pan, so you're going from your exhaust port here, your bottom port in your transmission, you're going to the transcooler. Now, let's say we're not utilizing our external dump at the moment, so we're going to our transcooler, we're coming all the way back, and we're coming right back to the governor cover. Typically, that's how they are, and they're dumping off right back into the pan. In some cases, you may have to control that flow with an orifice or some type of restriction so that your converter is not too loose. So that's one of the ways of tuning the transmission or tuning the converter. That may have to be done. In some cases, you'll find that, possibly most cases, you'll find that in the external dump valve itself, there is some restriction or orifices that you utilize to be tuning the exact amount that you want the converter to dump off at. So with an external dump, we are just bypassing the cooler circuit and sending that fluid right back to the pan. So just keep that in mind too. So there are several ways you have to look at this when buying this product and putting it inside of your transmission. There are other things you might have to consider when installing this. But again, it is a really nice product. It's very simple. It is also tunable. On the version that you don't see here, I actually sold them all out yesterday. The version you don't see here, they're actually tapped for 5/16 for a set screw. And then it starts off with I think a 55 thou hole drilled into it. So a pretty standard hole. This port here, okay, the cross feed port on my mod adapter valve here, what that has is I think it starts off with like an 090 90 thou hole in there. So, and again, it's tunable. I highly recommend, if you are not sure, obviously consult a transmission builder and making sure that it's going to work with what you have. Okay. And you have to obviously test it. You can't just drop this in and send it. If you're dumping off too much fluid or too much of a restriction from here as you're going to your cooler, your transcooler, your external transcooler, and coming back, there might be too much restriction on that line too. So you have to keep that in mind. Again, I'm not here to mislead anybody or misguide anybody. I do apologize. Again, I kind of nerd out on this stuff, so if it was too confusing for you to understand, again, I do apologize. Generally apologize. I'm not here to do that. With that being said, again, there are many ways to do this. I'm just trying to solve a problem as easy and as efficiently as possible without having to do too much for this transmission. And not to take jobs away from people, right? But things have to get easier. And with this, I think that's what solves this problem. I kind of have like a little illustration here that I wrote down on a whiteboard, kind of drew it out. Hopefully, I'll pan over and show you, and hopefully you can understand in a descriptive way of what I was trying to explain to try to make it easier if I didn't or wasn't able to convey that enough with my actual speech. Not that there's anything wrong with my speech, just again, I nerd out on this stuff and my brain is moving a million miles an hour. So again, I do apologize. So hopefully you understand what I'm trying to explain here and what product I'm trying to sell. If you have any questions, I'm going to be posting this obviously on YouTube. I'm also going to be sharing it on the Facebook group that the original post video was put on and the post. You can obviously contact me at sales@denaleracing.com. You can comment underneath this post, underneath this video, as well as, again, you can email me. You can go on denaleracing.com as well and look at all the other products that I have. So I'm here to answer any of your questions, any of your concerns. And again, hopefully you could take away from this a little bit better understanding of my first video and trying to keep it very general and very simple and my overall intention for this product. So now I'm going to swing over to my little diagram here and give you a very quick walkthrough of generally how it would look if you were doing this yourself without any other help from a transmission specialist. All right, so here is my very basic drawing. It's nothing too exciting. But here we have our transmission here, okay? We have our top port, return, bottom port, converter exhaust, modulator port here, governor. I also have it here as a single or a dual external dump valve. Again, that can vary. Also, we have our T-fitting and we have our external transcooler. The basic premise of what I am trying to convey here is that with my mod adapter in the modulator OEM modulator port, we are feeding line to lube to the top port, the return side. So now in your conventional way, what most or average people are running with their external dump valves is they're going into a T, which is typically right on the bottom port, AN fitting. We're teeing off, we're going to our external dump valve, and then we're going over to our external cooler. As it's being fed to the cooler, if we're not utilizing our external dump valve, we are coming over to here, we're going through our external cooler, and we're coming back and dumping right back, typically in a location that we see here where the governor cover is. And now again, keep in mind, there may need to be an orifice there, and there may need to be an orifice here. Typically, you would see them there. Okay, so now you're controlling the dump and the return from the converter and what you're dumping off. So keep in mind, your transmission may vary. Every transmission is different. So now that's pretty much the basic setup of how it would look with this. And again, from a drag and drive perspective and somewhat of drivability, even if you take it to the racetrack, you need some way to cool it. And that is obviously the typical way. There are other ways, but this is the way I'm explaining it here. All right, to end off this video, we got the upsides and downsides of this product. Two of the downsides I'm going to touch on are you cannot have an external trans brake with my mod adapter. If you are running a trans brake, it has to be an internal one. The other downside's kind of open-ended, really. It's your knowledge of utilizing something like this and everything else, like I've explained or tried to point out in this video. There's other consideration and factors in running something like this, so you have to keep that in mind. Definitely consult somebody if you're unsure, or bring it to somebody to be able to help you out with it. The upsides is just usability in general. Cost savings is a huge factor with this because it achieves the same goal as modifying the pump. So it is a split circuit. Without a doubt, we know that it's a split circuit because the features and what it does, what it gives you the option. So yes, so the cost savings to that alone. I mean, you can, like I said, you can literally just put this in on a lift or in your driveway, or and kind of adapt it to an external dump valve or kit that you have. So it's, like I said, pretty user friendly, and there are a lot of other options out there for it that I'm not going to touch on, that are more of the higher end professional build level options for it. So hopefully this video made better sense than the first one. I definitely failed short on getting the right message out on the first one, where I was kind of generalizing a lot of different scenarios and some that were a little out of the box, a little out of the range. So I do apologize for that. Again, it's not always connected, as I narrate it in my head and then try to interpret it and get it on a video for people to watch. That's my fault. I definitely have to do better at that. My intentions are good, to help get a good product out to people and make it a lot easier for people to utilize some of these components to have that next level transmission without spending a whole lot of money. So that's my overall intention. I wanted to solve a problem for myself, and now I want to hopefully bring it to the market and share it with other people. So thanks for watching this video. Again, you can reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. And I hope everybody has a great day.